Man, here we go again. Wednesday, and lots to do today. Lots of war updates, lots of domestic stuff. It's just going to be one of those busy Wednesdays. Just beautiful outside. Dang near feels like summer. It's close to 80 degrees right now. I know I've been outside as much as I could today getting things done. What about you, AJ? I'm in spring cleaning mode. I've had to just take care of some things I've been staring at all winter because the weather's good right now.
Yeah,
And
I'm same here. I'm on the same boat.
yep, I smell like Clorox. Let me just go ahead. If you could smell me through the radio, I've been cleaning some like you know how that green stuff gets on everything over the wintertime in the woods. Cleaning, man. So I started the show tired today. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna get some energy here. Trump is about to speak, and I don't know if I think it's at the White House, and usually that means a Q&A. And I'm trying to remember. I don't think he's done a Q&A yet. He did a couple of video releases this weekend, and then he did a statement, a live statement. I'm trying to remember if he answered questions. So it'll be interesting to see what they try to come at him with over this whole situation. The different angles. There's an old saying in business. It's true in sports. I mean, look at Nick Saban, look at other business leaders. Success kind of breeds success. And as this mission is continued to be a huge success by any measure, and look, there have been casualties, and we do have Americans trying to get home. All those things are factors of war. But there have been no real setbacks for the United States or any of our allies or any of the Arab nations that are helping us with this situation. And the evidence of that is just a little while ago, Spain decided they would be helping us or allowing us to use some assets, forward assets from their country. They tried to deny that. They were the only NATO country that did that. We have this supposedly this NATO pact to come to each other's mutual aid. Here's the United States involved in a conflict, and even though they were reluctant, the other nations fell in line. And so Spain stepped up today, and the president said, "Can we use our bases there?" And they said, "See." And so here we are. And why is that? Because the thing is working. This morning, I saw one of the most dramatic military briefings I think I've ever seen from in a real shooting war situation. And part of it was Hegseth being very brash about what we will win. We will punish our enemies. There will be no mercy. We're only going to escalate here because as our capabilities grow, because of we've blinded them, we've decapitated them. They don't have real leadership right now. The torpedoing of that Navy ship, the Iranians' flagship, most sophisticated Navy ship was out in the Indian Ocean, thinking they wouldn't be vulnerable, I suppose, in international waters. And y'all, we hit them with an old school torpedo that, according to this morning's briefing, that hasn't happened since World War II, and took the ship out. It was pretty dramatic video. So what's happening is every time we have a win, every time we're able to step on the accelerator, in terms of yesterday, we had the Stratofortress bombers go in. The payload on those things is just so massive. And again, precision bombing, so we're hitting specific targets to take out more and more of the infrastructure, or the capability for the Iranians to reconstitute their weapon systems or rebuild missiles. We're going after missile factories. Again, the mission is still divided where we're doing offense on infrastructure and their military. The Israelis are doing the personnel shots. They're the ones shooting all the mullahs. Every time a new guy steps up and he's the new supreme leader, he turns into a puff of smoke. And the Israelis are very good at that with their precision and their intelligence. And the combination has just been overwhelming. Now we got some of the Arab countries playing roles. And as that moves along, the ability for the Iranians to lash out is decreasing by the day. The numbers are startling. I don't have them right in front of me, but it was one of those, the assessment was their capability to lob missiles went down 82 or 83% right after the first 48 hours. Their ability to shoot drones is down, I think it was 74%. They're slowly losing their capacity. And at some point, as I've heard many of the generals say, the goal is to break their will to fight. And when they quit resisting, then the people on the ground in that country, the actual Iranians, have a chance to form a government and take over. Now that could get chaotic. It's a factionalized country, mostly Persian, but other ethnicities there. There's a story today that this was out a couple of days ago, that the CIA is preparing the Kurds, who have been strong allies of ours in the war in Iraq and in other skirmishes in that region, that they're going to amass on sort of the northern border of Iran. And those guys may come into Iran and help be the ground fighting force that helps the people of Iran take over the actual government. In other words, the civic infrastructure. If you know anything about how they're set up, they've got their military divisions, but they have this IRGC. It's the Iranian Republican Guard Coalition or Council or whatever they call it. And the IRGC, they're kind of a federal police in some ways. They have an intelligence wing. They have investigative wings. Their different divisions are the ones that have been shooting at the citizens in Iran and killing thousands of the Iranians during this most recent uprising. So the circumstances the timing was perfect. I get the ideas of proliferation and their speed toward a bomb. To me, that's not even the most compelling argument. Some of the humanitarian reasons for stepping into this thing as we did as a country and giving those people a shot at getting their country back is pretty amazing to see. And again, success is breeding success. So with every drop bomb, with every mission, whether it's a naval mission, an air mission, and the other aspects of this, our strength grows, our control of the situation grows, and Iran's diminishes. And it also starts to give you some optimism that this is going to be short-lived for us as far as our role with the United States. We've done the hard part. We've done the part maybe we're the only country in the world could have done with our lethality and our sophistication and speed and our warfighters, is to take out the threat level very early and then let that vacuum be there and have a plan for others to fill that vacuum. And we step back. Again, completely opposite of Iraq and Afghanistan, where we quickly took over Iraq. If you remember, that took like 3 days. Saddam Hussein went into hiding. Remember how he was on the run forever? We found him down in something called a spider hole. But then we set up a force to try to stabilize and sort of run the country, prop them up, help them establish a new government to our liking. And that was never going to work. And it took years of death, and then it turned into a grind, and then we didn't know how to get out. We didn't have an exit strategy. This administration has been clear from the beginning. Our mission is to completely destroy their military, their Navy, and their Air Force, completely destroy all of their nuclear capability. And that goes down to the research level, the production, the missile production level, all of that lethality. And we, as they said today in the briefing, we defang them. And then once we defang them, they're no threat to not only their own countrymen, they're not a threat to the world. And then we can get out of the way and let things play out. And I'm optimistic, knowing what I've known over the years about the culture and the sophistication of their people, the education of their people, the desire of their people to have their country back, that I think it won't be smooth, it won't be perfect, but it's going to be substantially better for the world and for us. Another sort of statement, I guess it's not really a statistic, but I don't have a number to apply to it, but they said today in the briefing this morning that this was twice the air deployment and I guess power or volume of shock and awe. Do y'all remember the shock and awe phrase where the Bush team decided to go in and overwhelm the Iraqis? We felt all cocky back then. We didn't know how badly all that was eventually going to go. We don't have neocons running the Trump administration that believe in nation building and trying to create these proxy nations. But we've removed an imminent threat that's had this coming for 47 years. I would have done this in 1979 if I'd been around. In fact, there's an amazing video, and I hope I saved it. If I didn't, maybe it'll pop back up today, of Donald Trump talking when he was 34 years old. It's amazing how he's still the same guy, speaks the same way, a little bit quicker, and probably a little more articulate with his thoughts. Again, he was younger. Weren't we all when we were younger? But he's saying the exact same things he's saying now. He was so irate about how that country embarrassed our country. This dude's a patriot from way back. No one wants to see your country kicked around. And I think all of us felt that way back then. I was a kid and I felt that way. How would we let these maniacs abuse our citizens, hold us hostage, and do the things they had done to us on the world stage and just let them get away with it? And we did. And he was highly critical of that. And it was a fascinating interview. So people that try to come and say, oh, Israel just blackmailed them into using our military to this is way bigger than Israel. It's way bigger than Israel. Are they a benefactor? Yeah, but they've also done their share of the heavy lifting and done it remarkably. But we've had these notions as a country, and the president of this country has felt this way about Iran for 47 years, like some of the rest of us. And so that we finally hit a point where they had become a true threat to the world. They'd always been a menace, but now they were a true threat, and they're no more. That is no more. So again, twice the air power of shock and awe. It's the biggest deployment of air power in wartime history, in all of warfare, in the history of all warfare, which is just amazing. And then we go back old school and use a classic torpedo to take out that ship. On the ground, it has been something to watch. So we'll be giving you updates on that. There's a roundtable set up right now. Trump's going to speak about Epic Fury. I still have to force myself to say that. I think it's a weird name. It's sort of a horseshoe-shaped table. I don't know if this is an event. I'll try to gather this information here in the next few minutes. If this is a pre-staged event about, say, an economic issue, or if it's the whole event is directed at Epic Fury, and we're going to get an update from people around the table on this situation. Most likely it's a separate event, but Trump's going to give comment, and it looks like there may be some space for questions. That's always going to be interesting. Now, how's all this affecting the markets and oil? Let's go domestic for a minute. The Dow's back up today, 300 points. It hasn't made up all that it lost yesterday and the day before, but anytime just a few days in, we're in our third day of trading since all this stuff started. You're seeing that the markets are not really, I wouldn't say shrugging it off, but they're not panicky right now because oil is flowing. The United States guarantee yesterday to guarantee the traffic flow through the Strait of Hormuz was huge. I don't know if how many ships are moving yet, but the market seemed to believe that's going to keep oil from continuing to spike. Again, any unseen and unknown circumstance could change that calculation, but right now, that fear is starting to subside just a little bit as the confidence grows in the oil markets. And I haven't seen the prices jump again today. They had that initial jump, which was calculated by everybody involved. And we'll see where it goes from here. But as of this morning, as of this afternoon, things are looking a little more calm in the investor class and with the oil markets. And I'll try to remember to give you updates on that. We've got battlefield conditions. We've got the political back and forth in Washington. We've got the economic circumstances here, world trade, all the things that are associated. And we'll try to get those things to you as well. Man, let me look down my list here, make sure I've kind of gotten it covered. Now, we do have other stories today. Tim Walz and Keith Ellison were on the Hill being confronted about the fraud in their states. What a couple of absolutely embarrassing public officials. It got pretty ugly. And the statistics and the history of the problems in their state have not gone anywhere. Many of you, if you've been a long time viewer or listener, I guess both nowadays with the YouTube feed, you realize that I'm not a big fan of some of these hearings. I think there's too much showboating and they're not very effective. But this did keep this subject in the public's eye, whereas the officials in Minnesota want us to ignore all the corruption that was breaking out of that state. That story's still there. The investigations are still there. So people are going to be held accountable for the stolen money in that state. So that was all on the front pages. And we got other stuff. I got a whole list of things, but now Trump has popped up. And AJ, I know we got that early break. We may have to move this around. Let's see what his opening statements are live from the White House about Epic Fury in Washington.
It's just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. they're attacking their neighbors, they're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women, we rebuilt our military during the first term, and we're using it a little bit more than I thought we would have to. Venezuela worked out really great. We have a wonderful relationship with the president and the various representatives, and we're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and that goes to our benefit and to Venezuela's benefit. They'll be doing better than they've ever done before, and we will get a big piece of that, and we'll also make life wonderful for the people of Venezuela who have been very, very badly hit. So that's a lot said in a short period of time, but you can witness it for yourself. And now we'll get on to something that I'm very proud of, because it was sort of my idea, like
very much so.
Build your own power plant. And everybody thought I was kidding. They said, really, you can do that? How would you do that? I said, we'll get you fast permits, and you'll build your own plants, but we're going to discuss it in great detail with the biggest people in the industry and some of our great leaders and senators. And congratulations on the Medal of Honor for your 100-year soldier. You know, 100 years old, 101 to be exact. And Daryl's been fighting that he get the Congressional Medal of Honor for many years, Daryl, right?
Mr. President, I give you all the credit for overcoming the lawyers in the Department of the Navy in a way that I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And
well,
nobody could have done it but you.
Maybe it'll be a long. We had to get it to him a little bit quickly, but he looks like he's in good shape. He's got some years left, right?
He's planning to come back here for your next Medal of Honor ceremony, and he's also going to be the star at Tailhook this summer if you want to come to Reno.
Well, I congratulate you for that success. That was amazing. He didn't stop. I've known him a long time. He never stops. So congratulations. It's very nice. We're here this afternoon for a historic signing that will help keep down utility bills very, very substantially, and electricity prices for millions of Americans, and in many cases for a lot of people that don't really understand why they're going up, but they're not going to be going up. They're going to be actually going down. Today we followed through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week, as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. It's going to have a tremendous impact on electricity costs. We're bringing down all of the costs. We have this little interlude to do what we have to do, because we had it going. But these interludes are very important, especially this one. But the economy has never been like this. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. People thought we wouldn't do that within the first 4 years. We did it in the first year. And we brought 7 on the S&P, 7,000 on the S&P. They said that's even less likely to happen. And we did that too, all within the first year. Under this new agreement, big tech companies are committing to fully cover the costs of increased electricity production required for AI data centers, and that would be prices for American communities will not go up, but in many cases will actually come down, and very substantially. Because, you know, the data centers, and you people are so big, you're the biggest in the world, but they've developed a little bit of a bad public. They need some PR help, because people think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening. It's not going to happen. And for the areas where it did happen, it won't happen anymore because they never had this alternative. It's actually going to mean the prices come down. You're going to see how badly they want. Some centers were rejected by communities for that, and now I think it's going to be just the opposite. This means that the tech companies and the data centers will be able to get the electricity they need, all without driving up electricity costs for consumers. This is a historic win for countless American families, and will also make our electricity grid stronger and more resilient than ever before. So that's part of it. It's going to be strengthened up, and they're going to be getting a lot of excess electricity from the data centers where they build their own plants. They're going to be creating their own electricity. We're pleased to be joined today by Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got a difficult job, but he does it as easy as anybody I've ever seen do that job. It's never easy when you have a majority of 2, or sometimes less. I was going to say sometimes less, but he's amazing. And Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who's worked so hard, and Senators Katie Britt, Bernie Moreno, John Husted. Thank you, everybody. Really great. Thanks, Katie. Representative Darrell Issa and Derek Van Orden, thank you both. And Derek, thank you. Nice to see you. OSTP Director Michael Kratsios, AI and crypto czar David Sachs, as well as the commissioners of the Federal Energy Regulation and Regulatory Commission, and an audience. In the audience, you have Laura Swett, David Rosner, Lindsay C., and Judy Chang, all very well-known people, especially in this group of geniuses. We have a lot of geniuses here, and a lot of geniuses that are also very strong people representing labor. We love labor. We love these guys. I also want to recognize the industry leaders here to sign the pledge, and this is a pledge that's going to be a very important pledge to the country and to their companies also. They benefit also very substantially, including President of Google, Ruth Porat. That's a good company. That's big stuff. Google. That's it used to be U.S. Steel and things like that. Now it's Google and other places. President of Meta, Dina Powell, who was with me. Dina Powell was with me for a long time, and I called up Mark and I said, congratulations, that was a good hire, right? That was a good hire. She's fantastic, and her husband is fantastic. He's a great senator, and he ran in a place called Pennsylvania, and he ran against somebody that was very tough to win. It was very, very tough to win, and he won pretty easily, actually. People were shocked. I wasn't. You and I weren't surprised, were we? But he's a spectacular man. President of Microsoft, Brad Smith. Thank you, Brad. It's good to see you. Microsoft is unbelievable. COO of OpenAI, Brad Lightcap. Brad, where are you, Brad? Brad, you're so young. Look at how young. I think you have to be young in that world, perhaps. Thank you, Brad. CEO of Amazon Web Services, Matt Garman. Matt, thank you, Matt. Very well. Say hello to my friend, right? Doing a good job. CEO of Oracle, Clay Moosquark. Moosquark. Is that fairly good? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I usually don't. I just go right over it and I say Moosquark. But how are you? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I give you a hard job. It's a hard name. You did good. You did well for the difficulty of that name.
That's right. I think so. Thank you very much. And Gwen Shortwell, of XAI, another real leader. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And say hello, right, to a special person. The last administration, their allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in, I say, the history of our country, but they say 48 years. So I'll take either one. It doesn't matter. The press gets very upset when I say in the history of our country. They get very angry about it, actually. They say it was only 48 years. I say, you know, in some ways, 48 years sounds
so
worse.
I'm just going to jump right in here. As AJ, did you let me? I was playing around with the graphics, trying to do something. It's trying to find something to do while Trump's rambling. He gave a few statements right up top, nothing specific. Now he's doing introductions. If he flips to something heavy or something newsworthy at this event, we'll go back to it. All the networks are carrying it live, as of course, being on a war footing, you want to hear from your president. We'll go ahead and keep our show on schedule and do this bottom of the hour break and come back and keep going. Phone calls, headlines, breaking news, all the stuff we do in the afternoons right here on Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Back here in just a minute. It is 2:35. Well, that's a little bit of a Leonard Skinner kind of sound right there. What is that? That's pretty cool. All right, y'all. Douglas Cooling and Heating bringing you the show today. I got my AC cranked. I like it cool at night. We're finally getting into those temperatures. Now, we do have some more cool weather on the way, but I've already flipped my system, and we'll be back and forth until we're completely clear of March. But could be time for you to go ahead and get yourself organized as far as, I'm fuzzy again. What's happening right there? To go ahead and get your tune-up done. We talk about it all the time. Twice a year, you should get everything serviced and checked, and Douglas Cooling and Heating has been doing that kind of work for me. We're in our 17th year now. It's hard to imagine I can count any business relationship as being that long. They were probably one of the very first sponsors here on the show. Used to go by a different name until there was a big sort of a merger. And those guys, Jay just runs a great company. They're so adept. They've got such good crews. They'll do all of the work for you, whether it's you just got emergency work. I always talk about second opinions when you want them to have somebody's already looked at it, but you want another opinion. Or in my circumstance, one time I was buying a house that wound up with an air conditioner problem. I wasn't sure about it. The inspector, that wasn't his expertise. So we brought in the experts over at Douglas, and they saved me a lot of money. I still wanted to buy the house, but we were able to get that resolved with the sellers. And that's a smart thing to do if you're out there in the market when it comes to the mechanical system. They'll do that work for you. And again, of course, the service that we emphasize so much, just get that done. Your system runs better. Your bills aren't as high. It's really a smart thing to do. It is calldouglas.com, C-A-L-L, calldouglas.com. All right, Trump's still talking. He is speaking. He's got a roundtable. It sounded like business leaders there. And he seems to still be dialed in and focused on that. At any point, he could go back into epic fury or his thoughts on the progress of the war. He's already had his people out this morning with Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane of the Joint Chiefs doing an incredibly thorough job this morning explaining all the successes the United States military's had in their role in this operation. And we'll, of course, keep updates coming to you on those things as it is the biggest story on planet Earth, no doubt about it. We did have an election last night in Texas, though, and that was a little bit, not really a surprise if you kept up with the polling, but interesting in the characters and players that got bounced last night. And this is a healthy thing for the country, in my opinion. I'll give a couple of takes on that. Of course, we'll start on the Democrat side. The very outspoken and very loud Jasmine Crockett now is without a public job. They'll give her something to do because she'll be a nuisance if they don't. She had theoretically gotten drawn out of her own district because she was from a racially gerrymandered district. They took that away in Texas, which has been upheld by the courts. And so she could never have won. So I guess she decided to keep the attention on herself and run for Senate. And it was an absurd proposition from the beginning, but one the Republicans absolutely wanted to happen. They would love for her to have been the nominee, even though, and I didn't know much about this Tallarico that beat her last night, but he's a total wacko. I mean, he is a total left-wing, cherry picks the Bible to suit his twisted, perverted political beliefs. That kind of stuff will not play in a state like Texas, but run them anyway. So the Democrats bounced her by 7 points last night. She was pissed. She was blaming people. Somehow it was the Republicans' fault that she got beat in her own primary by her own party. But she's done, at least for now. And, the country's better off without these phony showboats. I mean, I've got a clip here that shows how she changes her accent depending on who she's talking to. And I don't know which one's the real Jasmine Crockett. I think it's the articulate girl that grew up going to a private school and went to law school, not this routine, this sort of Jerry Springer thing she put on the country when she was talking to a certain audience. Now, she's not the first politician to do that. They kind of all do it in some way. There's subtleties to it. She was just so obnoxious about it. But the lampooning and the memes of this woman, because she brought this on herself, dancing in the hallway to the stupid song from the Super Bowl, just being a clown. And people, these are serious times, and both parties have to confront this. Now, on the Republican side, they bounced who has become known as Eye Patch McCain. He got beat by double digits in this Dan Crenshaw, double digits. And he just turned out to be very much like John McCain, sanctimonious, smug, sniping, not on the team, poor ideas, wrong on his facts. And so he gets just trounced. And then there's the race for the Senate seat on the Republican side. And you've got the establishment-y John Cornyn. Just by reference, the Senate has a body. Each side has one of these, but the Republicans have an organization called the NRSC. It's the National Republican Senatorial Committee. And their whole job is to raise money all year to protect incumbent Republican senators. Now, it used to be they would do this strategy to eventually take on Democrats. But now, with all these challenges, they're having to defend their own incumbents against their own party upstarts in these primaries. And so the NRSC, they like to control these races. They came down here and purchased Richard Shelby's old seat and just handed it to Katie Britt with millions of Washington money because they need somebody they can control, and it's just one of them, one of the establishment types that's worked their way into that system, and that's Cornyn. Cornyn is a French flag-waving, cheese-eating surrender monkey and needs to be bounced. Texas has had enough of his routine, and so he's running against Ken Paxton, much more the firebrand, much more the MAGA guy, I guess, in that race. But there's reporting today, and it's coming from the Atlantic, which means you can't trust it, that Trump is going to endorse Cornyn. I'd be surprised. So far, he's stayed out of it, which is the wise move because he's got allies on all sides. This is, in some ways, you'd call this a family feud. It's an intra-party situation, and you'd just as soon Trump stay back and let Texas sort it out. But people in Texas, the people that are on the ground there, I don't even pretend to know the dynamics of another state. And the reason is because I watch other analysts get Alabama wrong, completely wrong. I mean, just completely misfire on what's popular and what's not popular here in the state of Alabama because they don't understand the ground dynamic and what's being debated here. I've seen it in election after election. And I wouldn't presume to know really what's happening and what's being talked about around dinner tables in Texas. But I do trust people that live there that sort of do what I do for a living. And most of them believe Paxton is going to win this thing. And so then it'll be whoever in this Tallarico guy who is just one of he's wrong on so many things. He's got death quotes. I mean, quotes that will haunt him till the end of his days about God being non-binary and all this transgender stuff and his abortion, his border policies with immigration being the issue of the day. And Texas has very firm opinions about the border issue, particularly conservatives in Texas, because they live there. A good portion of their state is along the border with Mexico, and they are on the front line of this issue and have been since the beginning, since before they were even a state. And they understand even more deeply than the rest of us how that works. I can't imagine that a guy that's done and said the things that he's done and said could win the state of Texas with this Tallarico. But this is the Democrats chose the left-winging Jacob Frey style white boy over this this woman that was doing her routine, and it was comical in the very least to watch them all react to that state last night. Look, there will be analysts and people I call them over analysts sometimes. They're not just analysts, they overanalyze every little thing. They just got to fill network time until we actually go to the polls. And so we will hyperanalyze every race that happens in the country that's not the actual midterm. And some people will try to pretend it's a bellwether. This is a test of the party. And while it seemed to be the right people won, so to speak, yesterday in terms of the way Texas voted, still impossible to extrapolate that to the rest of the country or even how Texas is going to go in the coming midterm elections. But man, we're off to the races with all that stuff. All right, so that's about all I have to say about that. It's been funny. I've enjoyed the memes. I've enjoyed it. It's been a fun day. Let's see. I don't have a lot of details on this. I'm just going through headlines. We'll get some phone calls in here in a minute. But apparently police have shown back up on Little St. James Island. Do y'all know what island that is? That's Epstein Island. Why now? And what did they miss before? I know they did a half-ass search before And this could be completely unrelated to Epstein. His estate has not had control of that island for a long time, and I think a lot of the facilities that were there have been torn down. But what I suspect is this may have something to do with their searching that old Zorro ranch out. If it's connected to Epstein, with all this police activity in arrears, the Zorro ranch out in New Mexico is now being tossed, so to speak, or searched, because there's some amount of evidence that believes there may be bodies buried on the Zorro ranch. So it stands to reason that if they've discovered anything, that they've got to search for the same thing at other former Epstein properties. We'll see. We'll see if that's actually what's going on here, or if that winds up being the case. But that's in the news. Just popped a few minutes ago. Thought we'd just throw that on the table. Man, we got other stuff too. We got stuff about Cuba. We got Tim Walz up on the Hill. That was comical today. Still time for your phone calls as well. 545-9950 is the phone number if you want to get in on it. Let's go. We'll take this quick break, but before you do it, let me tell you all about Alabama Bass, alabamabass.com. This is where you want to get your bathroom work done, whether you're trying to blow out the whole thing because it's time for a fresh bathroom. And that happens, man. They get out of date like the other rooms in the house too. Problem is, in the other rooms, you can just paint or change out the furniture. In a bathroom, you got to do a lot of real work. It's plumbing after all. But so Alabama Bath, they've been the specialist at those projects for years. But the thing we focus on the most is the least expensive and the quickest and probably the most life-changing change you can make in there. And that is get rid of that old janky bathtub and either get you a stand-up walk-in shower system that's state-of-the-art, modern surfaces that aren't slippery, with shelving and handles to help you get in and out of there and be stable. It's just ease of use and independence, and getting that important part of your life back if you've been kind of fearful of your own bathtub. That's a real deal. If you've ever gone through anything medical, just trying to get clean and get refreshed can be hard if you've lost some mobility. Alabama Bass can change that for you in 2 days. That's how long it takes when they come to do the install. And they rip everything out. This isn't a cover-up system. This isn't some cheap adaptation. This is a real shower unit that's beautiful, you're going to be proud of, and you're going to love it every time you step in there. Some people want to keep a bathtub, and they'll do those replacements too. They've got the sit-down baths with the access door. Those are wildly popular too for some folks if you like a good soak. All I know is these are good local folks. They've been around for 40 years, and they're there to help. That whole team. Low pressure. You don't get all this gimmicky sales stuff. You just get a good product at a fair price and quick service that beats all these corporate schmucks all day long. I'd rather spend my money locally. It's alabamabass.com, alabamabass.com. All right, y'all, 252 leading live. Lanius Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight. Launius, LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. Y'all know where they are by now. The new Superstore. I still call it new. It's been there almost 2 years. But their Superstore, and I'm the one that named it that. They're more modest. I mean, this is just a humble business that's been around for 92 years, selling the best furniture made in this country for all those generations, 5 generations of the Lanius family. And they just exploded the place about 2 years ago and just made it a Superstore by they moved the original retail store into the warehouse. They looked at the warehouse one day and went, this make a nice wide open furniture store. So they took this massive 1 acre building, beautifully refurbished it, and staged all that gorgeous furniture. And there they are sitting, waiting for you. I've talked lately also about, of course, they've got all the beautiful things you want on the inside with living room groups and dining room stuff and brands you're going to know. But now that I've been outside all day, today I was cleaning my Adirondacks that I got from John right after I bought this house. They're just nice, easy chairs to sit outside. I got through a lot of COVID sitting outside in the sun in those chairs, but they are stark white, and I thought when I bought them, I live on a very wooded property. I thought those things are never going to survive outside. They're going to look terrible. And today I just hit them with a little bleach, hosed them right off. They look like they're brand new. There's crystal white. The thing to point out is this Green Country line. It's the color goes all the way through. It's really they call it polywood, but it's sort of a manufactured wood. It feels just like a wooden product, but it doesn't chip. It doesn't crack. You don't have to paint it. Their maintenance is low. They're heavy as lead, so the weather won't get them. And I just love those chairs, and they come in a lot of configurations. They've got high top tables for like pool settings or outdoor bar areas. They've got gliders. They've got all kind of things you can do. So go look at those. And the best part too is you get a choice in colors. They've got several colors you can custom order in any configuration you want. They make them right up the road, I believe, in Kentucky. Y'all check those out while you're at Lanius and go see them and get yourself a deal at LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. LAUNIUS, LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. Well, Trump's still talking. The roundtable he's hosting right now is on energy. And normally that would be fascinating, but we got a lot of stuff going on in the news and we need to keep on track here. We'll get to the phone. Well, we got Rick over here. Let's get Rick in here real quick. Get an early call as we wrap up the first hour. Rick, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry if I sound a little cross, but I'm a little bit PO'd about all this stuff about this nuclear energy.
Oh yeah, what's up, Rick?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is these Iranians kidnapped all these nuclear scientists and tortured them to giving up their trade secrets. They didn't want to do it. And,
yeah, they've done vicious stuff like that for years. Yeah, they absolutely. They brought a lot of Asian nuclear science in under threats and intimidation and entrapment over the years to get their program going. Just like the Chinese, they'll steal anything they can.
And just one more thing, if I can do this.
Yeah, man.
When you create nuclear energy, these byproducts, the rods, the spent rods, is what they call plutonium. That's what they use to make these nuclear warheads. Now, I appreciate Trump trying to dismantle these nuclear sites, but I hope he don't stop here with Iran. I hope he goes to the whole world. And that's all I got.
There's Rick with his foreign policy advice tonight. I appreciate you, buddy. Man, we got a couple of other stories. Let me get off of Ron for just a minute, because that story's going to be with us day after day. There was one this morning. AJ, you ever seen those Google glasses that Ray-Ban made with the little camera in them, like a little spy cam?
Yes.
I think some people on our staff had them. They were offering some discounts or something a while back to people, and some folks loved them. They got them. I always thought they were just straight creepy. Well, now we're finding out from some reporting. This reporting's actually coming out of Sweden, and it's based on some data center in Kenya that works for, I guess, Google or Ray-Ban or whoever that tracks the data. But those glasses have been continuing to record even after you take them off. And so these people at the data center in Kenya are saying, oh, yeah, we watch people all the time having sex and taking dumps and messing with themselves. And I'm like, what?
Oh, gosh.
If y'all have got those Google glasses in your life, I'm telling you, stomp them, take them outside right now and just stomp them and take them off your head. And you don't need them. Or either that or put them in some kind of case. Apparently they keep recording data. We learned that in the Nancy Guthrie case where they were able to reverse engineer data from a camera on her house that didn't actually record what we wound up seeing, right? They just put the ones and zeros back together and produced that video. It's similar to that. And these folks in Kenya is like, oh, we're having a great time. We get the popcorn and we watch y'all. Think about it. You take those off and put them on your nightstand.
It's watching you sleep.
Yeah. Or in your kitchen.
It knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake, knows when you making sweet, all that stuff.
Yikes. And they watching you in Kenya and you'd never know.
Oh, hey, look, if you ever make a trip to Kenya, they can be like, oh, you are the guy with, I've been watching you.
Oh, your thing is very small. It's very, very small, man. It's like, what? We saw you in the shower. What? It was a cold shower, okay? Dude, that's one of the creepier stories I've seen, and there were several versions of it, and it's hard for anything to punch through today because there's so much big stuff in the news. But I do not trust those things. We got a guy on our staff that was showing his off. I'm not even going to name him because I don't want to embarrass him. I walked in his office, and he took a picture of me and said, let me check this out, man. I can take a picture of it with my glasses. I said, don't be taking my damn picture. Oh, it happened. Google glasses, get them out of your life, man. Unless y'all just like being spied on, do what you want. All right, we're going to do the top of the hour news, and we'll come right on back here. Still watching the President's Roundtable and keeping up with that. Keeping up with the war, taking your phone calls, breaking news, and we get it too. 545-9950 is the phone number if you want to get in on this thing. Leland Live Talk 99.5.